That's Karl.
That's Emma.
And this is Data Center World. So Karl, we're here.
We're here, we made it to the big smoke.
We are, yes. It's extremely busy.
It is, I've not seen it this busy actually.
It's nice actually because I say after a few years of these shows, we've not exhibited at Data Center World for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So for us, like I said, we're back here again and it's really good. The signs are encouraging in terms of how many people are here, the quality of contact so far.
Absolutely.
And a fresh new stand.
Fresh new look, yeah, which I think the best thing to do now is if we hand over to our friendly colleague Barry and he will give you a tour of the stand.
Right, so today's stand, what we're trying to show is that kind of IT is actually kind of spread across the whole kind of verticals. So we're showing how we can actually deploy IT from within inside the office, which we see here, to outside, to within kind of industrial environments, and that's really what we're trying to actually kind of show here. And also this scalability from as low as 2 kilowatts of IT load all the way up to kind of 100 to 200 kilowatts per rack through different applications. Here what you can see is actually kind of the office environment. You can see kind of this is the TX cable net, which is showing how we actually kind of provide a network solution within an office environment. You can see the cable management coming down kind of the left and the right hand sides. You can also see how we can actually kind of feed the cable from the right to left into the actual kind of the main core of the network. From the side, you can see the apertures here that then allow the actual kind of cable to drop down and actually then route into the appropriate places within the cab. On this side is we then actually see our VXIT product set, and the VXIT is actually showing how we can actually encase IT within its own environment within the office itself. So we have the LCU, which is the liquid cooling unit, and this is a cartridge that fits into an 800 wide rack. And on the outside of the LCU, we actually then have either a condenser or a chiller, depending on the type of technology we're using to actually cool down the rack. The LCU effectively creates a curtain of air across the front surface of these servers, and then the exhaust from the servers then actually goes into the back of the LCU, and then the heat is then actually rejected out to the condenser or the chiller. The main advantage of this within in a office environment is it's very quiet. We have glass doors on the front, steel doors on the back, so all the noise is actually contained within inside the rack, again, which makes it kind of very good for that office application where noise can be a real problem. If you're deploying small scales of AI up to around about 5 kilowatts, again, this is an ideal solution for a retail system where you don't have a data center, you just got a computer room to actually kind of look after. Within the IT environment, it's also common that you can pull the kind of the IT from the office into a white space or a data center environment. Here we can see is a couple of applications on how we actually do this. This enclosure is actually kind of our TX CoColo. It's actually specifically designed for the Colo operators and services their kind of specific kind of requirements. The main requirement for the CoColo is speed. We can actually to deliver this rack extremely fast, and also kind of scale up their data center as and when they actually require. Most data centers will actually use kind of cool air from either a hot or cold aisle or from cracks, and again the vented perforation here allows that air to actually kind of deliver to the servers. So this gives a very flexible solution for the co-location. Over here we can actually see how if you're not using the cracks to cool, but you actually want to actually kind of use bespoke cooling, we then have what we call our LCP, which is the liquid cooling package. In here we can see is two 600 wide VXITs, and what the LCP is doing is actually kind of pushing the air to the left and the right of the actual kind of the rack, which then actually keeps the kind of the servers cool. This is actually controlled via a control panel here, and we then have fans which are going down. You can see the kind of the airflows there being kind of delivered. Capacity on this is up to around about 53 kilowatts per rack, again depending on the deployment, and it has two modes of configuration. We can either blow into the rack, which we're seeing here, which gives us our high density applications for artificial intelligence, or what you can do is, if you're operating in aisle containment, is you can also kind of blow into the aisle and allow that air to be shared across multiple racks as and when it's required. If you're interested in kind of resilience, all we have to do is add another LCP onto the other side, and then we can actually get kind of N+1 resilience. All of it is very, very scalable. It's actually a water-based solution here, which means it's very, 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 very efficient and therefore very much energy saving. In fact, the water temperatures are very, very high, so we can actually really utilize the free cooling point of it as well. So sometimes the IT can actually be put within a data center environment. It actually needs to get close to the application or the equipment here. Here what we've done, we've actually kind of set up a industrial environment where we can actually show how IT can actually be deployed on the shop floor if we want to. Here we've actually got two applications. On the right hand side, we've actually got kind of the LCP. This version is actually kind of the LCP DX. So we're actually using a refrigerant to actually kind of cool it. Maximum capacity is between 12 and 20 kilowatts per LCP. What we can see down here, we can actually see kind of the air vents that allow the air to actually kind of feed the actual kind of servers, and we can also see the return aperture here that allows the hot air to actually kind of go back. On the front of the LCP, you can also see the fans that are able to actually be kind of blowing the air across the servers, and these are hot swappable. So in the event of a fan failure, all the other kind of fans will actually accelerate to compensate for the one that has failed. You also notice here that we also have electronic security. Sometimes on the shop floor, anyone can actually get into that rack. So what we're able to do is actually increase the security from a key lock into electronic security. This one here, what we're using is an access control card. And that access control card is quite simple. You actually kind of put it in front of the reader. You can see that the light's gone green. We can actually then kind of release the handle, and then we can then actually access the actual kind of enclosure. From inside the enclosure, you can also see kind of the LED bar, and what that is now indicating is the status of the enclosure itself. At the moment, it's in warning, which is why we're actually kind of in amber. When it's in normal, it can go green, and then kind of if it's in alarm, we can go red. Because we've actually kind of moved the IT away from the data center itself, we've got to also kind of replicate some of the technologies we have within the DC. This system up here is actually what we call the DTAC, and the DTAC is a fast suppression system that allows us to protect the IT equipment in the event of a fire coming in. What we're able to do.
Everybody's spoken to everybody.
Sorry about that. In the event of fire within the rack, we can actually kind of drop the gas down from the kind of the DTAC. That will then extinguish the actual kind of the fire within the rack. It will raise an alarm to the building management system and let everyone know that it's been dealt with. We also have kind of brush entry points down here, which seals off the hot and the cold part of the rack. So again, to make it really kind of ultra efficient as well. Again, these are ideal for IT loads as up to around about kind of 40 kilowatts, where DX really has its optimum kind of performance. Okay, on this one here is, again, we're using a different cooling product, which is actually kind of the Bluey Plus. What you can see is that the air is actually being kind of blown up through the actual rack. Okay, and we're creating a curtain from bottom to top of cool air. Again, this is a different way of actually kind of cooling. This one here, we're looking at around about just over 5 kilowatts per rack. That allows us to actually kind of deploy. The main advantage on this is actually the free cooling aspect. Is that if for whatever kind of the outside temperature is cool enough, rather than use the compressor, what it does, it actually brings in air from the outside in the environment to supplement the cooling within the rack. That means this becomes a very, very low energy, low cost solution for us. In fact, what I do is I will take you around the back and you can actually then kind of see the cooling system itself. As I mentioned, so this is actually kind of the Blue Plus unit we have at the back of our kind of our enclosure. So I mentioned it has a free cooling. In this environment here, if the air was cool, rather than this providing the cooling, it would just bring in the outside air into the actual kind of rack itself. So if we open it up, what you can now see is actually kind of the inlet fan. This is where the heat goes in. Obviously heat rises, so we're extracting the heat from the top of the rack. What we're then doing is it's going through the coil, which is then actually cooled, and this then exhaust is down in through this duct here. This duct actually then kind of directs the cold air underneath all these servers and then directs it right in front where the actual kind of the air is required. So again, here we actually have what we call the IoT interface. This can actually then allow this unit to connect up the network and then actually then communicate to the main system so we can actually have the status of it. So we've almost come full circle. So we started off in kind of the office, we've gone through into kind of the data center environment, and now what we're now doing is we're now going into the actual kind of outside environment to show you how to deploy. So here we actually have a mock-up of a container. Usually we have our Rematrix S, which is up to around about 60 kilowatts per rack. We can also use kind of different cooling mediums such as water and DX depending on the application we want. Probably our maximum at the moment is between 200 and 250 kilowatts per container. And again, they're actually built within our factory in Germany. This is just a very, very simple representation of the container. Typically what we do within the container is we will bias the enclosures, the hot aisle, which is why it's red, around about 600 mil from the back wall. Usually not a lot of servicing is done on the rear side. So so this is why we're allowing this 60 mil space. When we actually move to the cold part of the container, the depth here becomes around about 900 mil. Now that 900 mil allows us to actually kind of bring personnel down into the cold aisle. It's a cold environment, which means it's then suitable for the engineers. But more importantly, because it's actually 900 mil kind of wide, it means that we can actually load 800 deep servers into the front of the rack quite simply. The great thing about the kind of the containers is their rapid deployment. If you need a data center quickly, containers are a very, very good solution for that.
So Karl,
Yes.
obviously lots of different things that's been exhibited at the minute.
Yeah.
For you, what is it that's sort of been a highlight for you at the minute, the show in terms of what customers are asking for? You know, what is it that you've picked up on that feels a bit of a topic at the minute?
Yeah, well, it's sort of end of day one, and I think I was surprised really because straight from the off, one of the key takeaways for me was people talking about high density cooling and basically putting more in a rack. But with that obviously comes the more you put in, the more heat losses inside, and then the more heat we have to deal with. So footprint seems to be really important. They want it as small as possible because data center space or factory floor space is a premium. But then obviously it's that dealing with the heat. So this sort of idea where you've got the cooling connected and sandwiched to this nice, neat sort of microsystem is really appetizing to people. But you know, before maybe we were talking about like 10, 15, 20 kilowatts, but now people are coming today and really pushing those upper limits to what we can do, which is around 50 kilowatts, 53. But then also you're getting people going to further extremes than that. So it's really interesting to see that all of a sudden it's all just ramping up at a rapid rate.
And this is what we've talked about in the past with a lot of it with AI, you know, and the generation of all this. I mean, one thing I really like about these systems is, like you say, it's generally sandwiched between two.
Yeah, you can do that,
racks.
absolutely, yeah.
Obviously, so you're utilising one of these for two of the racks.
Yeah.
It's a great system. So this is the DX system.
This is, on this demo model, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely,
So what's the difference between the DX and then we've got the
cold water?
The cold water system. So
yeah, so it's just it's the type of sort of cooling that you're using. So the DX is like a refrigerant-based system.
Right.
And basically, in the past that was very popular. They can go up to roughly around 35 kilowatt. But the cold water, or CW, they go up to about 53 kilowatts for the same footprint size.
Right.
Obviously there you've got to be connected to a chilled water system on site. Most IT centres already have a chiller and are connected to this, or we can also, supply a chiller. But it's basically just transferring from air to cold water, and that really being the next generation of, bringing that heat load down and managing the heat.
But like I say, we're just going to see more and more of this coming through, aren't we? As technology again is evolving, obviously we need to evolve with it. One thing I really love about this system, we talked about it earlier, the lighting. I know it's really simple, but the fact that it's actually linked to the temperature sensors.
Correct.
So that when obviously potentially there's an issue or it's overheating, you visually got that image to say there's a problem, this needs to be addressed. I think that actually is it's a really simple, but it's a really, really good little bit of kit.
It really is, because if you've got a big bank of racks and things like that, and you might have a management system, but sometimes the more visual, more traditional style of things is really useful. And like you say, when we came in this morning, it was cold in here, and this was blue, sort of just showing everything's okay.
Yep.
And as the days got on and more people are in here, it's gone red, showing that actually the temperature has ramped up in here. So it's doing its job, and it is simple yet very effective.
Yeah, it's a great piece of kit.
So Emma, end of day one, what is one of your key takeaways? What have people been talking about, or what have you seen as a bit of a trend?
I think obviously traditionally IT was white space, but we just see more and more now in industrial applications.
Yeah.
So obviously with this system, for instance, this is basically a modular data center, a small version.
Yeah.
So it's IP rated. It can be put on the shop floor.
Yep.
People are wanting real-time data these days, so they literally want to put their IT infrastructure right next to a production line.
Yeah, correct.
They don't want that lag of it being on the cloud, of it being in a data center somewhere in another country, or even sometimes within their own business, they actually want it right at the side of the production lines. So this is where this type of system comes in. It's really great. Obviously, we do applications for industrial anyway. So the fact that we do IT, we're just marrying the two together. We're really strong in the industrial space generally from a control and automation perspective. All we're literally doing is fitting the IT equipment today. It's the same cabinet that we use in the industrial space. So we've got IP ratings on here. The internal fixing is obviously for 19-inch, but we can put other components in there as well. And then the good thing as well is we're also utilising standard cooling that we'd use in the industrial space.
Standard industrial cooling, which is made to suit that robust, aggressive environment.
Absolutely. It's IP rated. There's several different options on the size and the cooling on this, but effectively, a bit like a data centre where you would take your enclosure, you'd have your hardware, you'd have your security, you'd have your monitoring, you'd have your cooling or your climate control, like we're doing a big data centre. We're doing all that just in a little box. Absolutely. Security levels can be anything. We can have RFID tagging, combination locks, remote access. We can have remote monitoring this as well with the CMC system, so somebody could be monitoring the temperature from further away, remote access into the cabinet. Obviously, of course, we're looking at the cooling on this. So then you've got the cooling. It's everything, like I say, in microfoam. That's all this is. But we're seeing more and more of this now wanted on the shop floor, rather than being sat in a data center
on the front lines, isn't it? That's exactly what it is. And one other point that's really nice in these is the fire suppression. People love the fire suppression. Little neat cassette at the top there.
Absolutely.
An added extra bit of security and peace of mind for people.
Like I said, and the great thing with these systems is because we're really strong in the industrial space and we're really strong in the IT space, and effectively the frame of these enclosures are the same. We can literally put all them components together to create whatever it is the customer's looking for.
Absolutely.
You know, there's nothing to stop us sort of doing different hybrids, hybrid models of whether it be IT in the industrial space or vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's
really
something that's been discussed a lot this today. I know it's going to be busy again tomorrow with the same type of questions, but yeah, it's interesting to see where things are moving.
Promising, definitely.
Yeah. Barry, almost end of day one.
I know.
It's been a fantastic show. What's been your takeaways from today, really?
I think the takeaway today has been, it's been absolutely amazing. The people, we have not stopped on the whole stand. I think I managed to get off the stand maybe about 3 o'clock, but we've been going since 8:15 this morning. So people just love the product. They love what we're doing. They can see kind of the benefits for it. So for me, it's been really nice that people see what we see, which is the main purpose of it, really. So
I think it's been encouraging actually as well. The people that's been here and the people that we've met today as well in terms of this industry at the minute. You know, it's absolutely buoyant.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody that we've been speaking to has been saying the same thing. So I think that's been really, really nice to see actually.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things. Sometimes you don't see it, but you feel it. And you can just see the enthusiasm that people have got. We got the kind of got all these different technical things coming in, artificial intelligence coming in. We got kind of people don't know where the market's going to go, how we're going to adapt to it, and what they're looking for is how we solve those problems.
Yeah.
And for me, the brilliant thing is that we've actually shown them what the technology we have and how they can actually take those new technologies in the future. So for me, it's been absolutely brilliant. So although my feet really hurt, it's been
I'm
absolutely...
wearing heels.
Me too.
No, thank you for that. Like I say, end of day one. Looking forward to day two.
Morning.
Good
It
morning.
is the morning after the night before.
Absolutely.
How did you find the show yesterday?
Yeah, good. Yeah, really busy, lots of positive vibes, and you always get a lot of footfall, but sometimes it's people just coming to see old friends and things, but it's not that this time. It was very much people coming to the stand with a specific aim, project, a certain need, because the market is really on the rise. So really positive, and you feel like you take a lot away from it, and it makes the day go so much quicker when you're having all those conversations.
Yeah, it was a really good show. Like I said, the footfall was fantastic. It gave you a real positive vibe that market at the minute is really buoyant, and there's lots more to come in the coming months. And years.
I mean, obviously IT is everywhere, as we know anyways, in everything we do in our home and work lives, but all this new stuff with AI and all the technology that's coming around that is really just taken the market a bit by surprise. Yeah, exactly. And they're like, right, we need to do something about this now, and it's taken that next step. So it's amazing. There's always something around the corner that we didn't anticipate as an industry that we now need to jump on and help create solutions for.
But yeah, it was a great show. So, like I mentioned, we're here at Canary Wharf. We are going to be filming another episode, giving you a sneak peek into the insides of the office down here at the Big Smoke. We are, yes. So join us for the next episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Obviously, you'll see that come through then on social media or whatever channels it is that you watch or listen on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.